Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are right now as you are tuning in to our second podcast episode of Behind the Scenes. I think that's a good name for it. I think we'll go with that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I have with us today Nikola, you take that one.
Kitanovski.
Kitanovski.
Yeah, that's the most Macedonian pronunciation I can do. But yeah.
Yeah, he's actually one of our ambassadors, and let's jump into it. So,
Awesome.
Nick.
I'm glad to be here, guys. I don't get to be out of the house much the last year, so it's definitely like a welcome change, I guess. And it's really nice to see you and everybody else here. I love you guys. So
Yeah. Before we started shooting, like you said that you were getting ready to go do a project, and suddenly like things hit the fan and just everything changed. Like
yes. So it was, we were supposed to go film in my home country. I'm originally from Macedonia. It's a small country right above Greece. And it was March 11th. We were going to go like end of March. We were in a full prep mode and, we were going to film there. And I was actually going to a birthday party on March 11th. So I get into my car. It's about like 30-minute drive. And on my way there, I get on like a notification on my watch. I was like, oh, like Tom Hanks got coronavirus, like COVID-19. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, he was like in Australia at the time or something.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, like I guess if he can do it, and it's like, it kind of makes us less invincible for the whole thing. And as I'm driving, like 5 minutes later, I get a notification like the Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz got coronavirus. Whole NBA season is suspended. As I'm like continue driving like towards Hollywood, like all travel to United States.
The world is falling apart around you.
And I was like, what's going on? And by the time I got to like West Hollywood, I was like, I sat down. I was like, do I go into this party or like what? So I've been home since March 12th pretty much. Then later. So like everything got like canceled and got postponed and but
Did you get any word back when it might, like that project might be starting up again, or?
We probably gonna start like after like 2021. So at the beginning of 2021. Unfortunately, when you're shooting abroad, you fall under regulations on like different governments, and it's not the same regulations that we would have here, and people deal with things differently in different regions. And they were actually doing really nice for a change. Like they lowered their like COVID cases, then they kind of loosened up restrictions. Everybody went out, not wearing masks, and hey, bro, how are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. Come over here, let me give you a hug. And now everybody's close back again, in quarantine. So, and I think the cases like really spiked.
So so things started to calm down a bit. And then like
that was the second wave, and the second wave was like even bigger than the first one, and there was absolutely nothing we could have done, until like, and there it's not like California, so you have like seasons. So even if things would, let's say, calm down during the winter period,
you can't shoot.
Yeah, it's like snow, and like our film was like spring, summer. The plot would take place. So I would say, like, just to be like super conservative and hopeful at the same time, we will go back at it like around March of next year.
Were you able to get any like other smaller jobs or other jobs calling in during all this?
Yeah,
or anybody try to make some magic happen?
Absolutely. I mean, and I know people that they have like continued to do like a smaller, like a few people, like let's say like usually like product shots, or like doctor interviews, or like infomercials or something like this.
So just
mostly
like
on
two-man crew
like
type of stuff, like not even like...
Absolutely, like the corporate, side. But I'm trying to stay, as conservative as possible, just so, you can be respectful towards like other people as well, and, kind of not get my hopes up as well, because you know how it goes. You're going to go on a one job like 2-3 days, and that's, it's really difficult to give up. Now, like I'm preparing my mindset, it's like, okay, like let's write this thing out. Let's let the, like everybody to be better, to get a hang of the whole situation.
Yeah.
And then continue at it.
So your strategy is more like let them figure out what kind of
and
hurdles that we got to get through for safety first, and then like ease your way
absolutely.
back in a little bit.
Because what I was thinking mostly that was on my mind, like it depending on like what hat I'm wearing and stuff. So if I'm thinking from like director standpoint, my thing is like maybe we can go like Ventura County or somewhere else, somewhere really small with like tested people and test them every day and really tell stories that reflects on the time that we live in, because I really feel that we're in a crossroads for like multiple facets and stuff.
Oh, so you're considering like pivoting to a documentary sort?
Yeah, just so like the storyteller in me, you know what I mean.
Especially all the stuff on the news, like you're just like
100%
ideas exploding everywhere.
And you want to document it and be a part of it because to me and the way that I approach things, like everything that we know about the world that we live today is through storytelling. And that's the only form that's going to prevail over time. It doesn't matter audio, video, whatever. It's like books. I really feel that everything that we know about ourselves and the stories and the way that we're going to live, our lives and live it up to our like the generations after us, we're gonna leave those stories, and part of me wants to document it, but another part, like if I put my producer's hat on it, I was like, it's not safe, it's not responsible to put other people in danger. Like we really don't know those protocols and it's not something that you are dealing with that, okay, like this is what it is, this is how it like attacks. Like we know like the framework. But I have cases that I know personally, people that have been affected by it, that they've been, like late 30s, like super fit, like going out at the gym, like healthy individuals that died from it, and I know other people, that, and I don't want to get into like nitty gritty and stuff, that they just passed, the virus with asymptomatic and in no symptoms, like nothing, and with like flying colors, so to speak, so you really don't know what to expect, and that kind of level of unknown, it's really difficult to predict, and that's why I feel everybody's kind of like taken aback by it a little bit, and like you don't know like what to make of it.
Like to my understanding, like even like film insurances weren't really letting
100%.
people sign it.
And, where there's like if something were to happen, where that liability lies and like what would happen. Because to me personally, from my standpoint, like if we were gonna work together, I was like, hey Tony, come on my production. I promise I'm gonna take all the precautions and stuff and everything to keep you safe. And then something were to happen to you, first of all, I'm not going to be able to live with myself. First of all, then second is every repercussion is going to come from it.
Yeah, like now the whole crew has to get checked, and who knows who else might be getting hurt.
And, just logistically and, financially, how feasible it is to test everybody those and to turn over those tests for like 24 hours and then over again and, to limit those contacts
and all the additional materials that have to come in set.
Yeah, and part of it, like the part of it is what we do as a crew is, it's energy. So if you segregate everybody, and color code them and stuff and everything else, it's just not going to translate onto screen, and the actors will be in the most, jeopardy that they can be, because like how you're going to film a scene with masks and stuff, because on the crew side, you can stay somewhat, like safe.
Yeah.
But then,
the actors are the ones that won't be able to wear masks when they're on camera.
There is, if we were know like, okay, this is the virus, this is how it attacks, like those are the consequences, you'll be like, well, I'm willing to, live with it or not. But this is like, you don't know how it's going to strike.
Yeah.
And for me, it might be different than it is for you. And that's why it's going to be really difficult to kind of navigate the whole thing. But, on a lighter note, when something like this happens is, you really have an opportunity to take a step back and evaluate things and evaluate like the way that, like we conduct business, the way that we conducted ourselves, with other people as well. And I'm sure we're going to overcome it and something good's going to come out of it, and you're going to have a lot of opportunity for personal growth.
Yeah.
Just because like being on set and filming, that's just only one of the aspects of what we do. Like I would argue that you make your film at home first, so you have the ability to do those preparations and you have the ability to come up with stories and develop them, and you have the ability to really take everything that is happening, and translate it into meaningful stories that you're gonna have a chance to tell. It's just not gonna happen in the next couple months, but it doesn't mean that it ends there.
So like coming from what you were just saying, like did you start off as leaning more towards the director or more towards the producer side of things? Like, and how did you get into there?
Well, in my family, my mom, actually, she's a director for like the past like 40 years, and in my country, one of the first female directors. And I grew up being on sets and on like TV shows and those kind of things. So it's like, I would argue that I fell in love with it like super early, and at some point, like I was like, I feel, and I know it's like a cliche or something, but I was my freshman year in high school, like I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So I started like getting like literature and books and those kind of things, and to really like prepare myself, to be a director. So I wanted to be like the way I saw it was I want to be a storyteller. So I want to tell stories. I really enjoy the process. I really enjoy the long hours. I really enjoy working with other people, and I really enjoy telling stories. So I started as a director. I started with like music videos. My mom was like really against it, and my family was in general really against it because they...
Like against filmmaking or starting in music videos?
No, just against filmmaking in general.
Really? And your mom was on set?
Yeah, because they know the long hours. And it's like, is it really that serious at like 15, 16 years old to be like doing this? And then, those were the times where, not all like the 15, 16-year-old kids had like red cameras or something like that.
Like you have to have money to start shooting.
100%. And I actually did my first music video. We borrowed like a camcorder from my neighbor that was like visiting from Germany, so he had one.
And this is when you're still in high school?
Yeah, that was 16 years old. So it was like a VHS-C, those like the smaller tapes that you put it, and then you capture the material. So I got myself like a bootleg Premiere Pro. There is not like original software or something. I use all originals right now, but at the time,
everybody starts somewhere.
At the time, and like I was doing when my like parents were at work and stuff like and everything else, and I kind of like put it together, like edited, like self-taught myself, like Premiere, and that was like we didn't know about YouTube at that time.
I don't think was YouTube even a thing
yet. I don't really know. Like, I wouldn't know from
because I didn't find out about YouTube till I want to say around 2005.
Yeah, so this is around like 2002, 2003.
Okay.
So this is what it's right at the like cusp of like but you would definitely not like log in a bit like how to use a Premiere Pro. And
everything you have to learn yourself or from someone else.
Yep. And you just stay up all night and figure it out. And from that standpoint, so the music video went out on air, and I actually got called to be a guest at one of the shows, and my mom still didn't know.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I show up and I was like, oh, like what are you doing here? You were supposed to be at school. And I was like, I just came to say hi and stuff. And and one of my mom's colleagues was like, oh, did you see, like the stuff that Nick's did and stuff? I was like, what? And he did what? He did a music, what? And
somebody's getting in trouble.
And then she saw it and she was like, so you're like really serious about doing this? I was like, dead serious. Like that's what I'm born to do. And since that moment on, I had like definitely support from my parents, throughout the whole thing. But that's how I started. Like music videos were breakthrough.
That's
and
really
then,
amazing that like even though your family were in the film industry and they were already against that, you were still able to overcome
100%.
the negativity to still try your hardest to pursue it without really any resources there to
And
start.
yeah, absolutely. And it comes back to just being passionate about things. You know, it's one thing, you know, to be stubborn, you know, and kind of be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this even though like I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible with people. You know, like I don't want to put in the work. But I want to do it. That's sort of like different. This is like, you know, you're just for the pure love of storytelling. You know, you don't mind the long hours, you don't mind the times, because like we sacrifice a lot. We've been sacrificed a lot to be away from our family, from the people that we love. I mean, I'm in LA. When I came to LA, I came with like a backpack and a toothbrush. You know what I mean? So it's like you leave everything behind in that pursuit, you know, of a better chance to tell your stories. And you know, everybody around you, you know, has a like they suffer as well, so to speak, because for you not being there, you know, so
Yeah.
you miss out on a lot of things and everything. And you know, in order for you to be able to live with that sacrifice, you have to love what you do and not do it, you know, for the wrong reasons and for the things that, you know, some people, they like the result of being a filmmaker and not loving the process, you know, but you have to embrace it,
Yeah.
you know,
The journey and the ending is
100%.
all
And
important.
it's never, like I can tell you, I've never, after everything that I've done, not even for 1 minute have I ever sat down and bask in glory or like be, hey, like Tony, like tell me how great I am. It's like, I don't want to hear it. It's like when I show you something or I watch it like one time, I put it behind me and I'm on to the next thing, you know, because to me, I'm my biggest critic. I'm going to put something up and I was like, oh my God, I would have done 100 things differently. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
would have like everything else. And that pursuit of always being better, it's what's the rewarding part about
It's like that hunger of knowing that you got a little better with each
100%.
project,
Yeah.
right?
Like to me, the most rewarding thing about the whole thing is when I look back at something that I did 15 years ago, and I was like, oh my God, what was I thinking? You know what I mean?
I know that all too well.
You know,
Like I've looked at projects from even like a year ago that I've worked on, and I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
it's like night and day.
and at the time, I was like, oh my God, I'm making Titanic. You know what I mean? And it's like at the time, it's like, oh my God, this is like the best thing since like sliced bread, you know?
Yeah.
And
That's like a huge thing that filmmakers need to always keep in mind, like keep that ego in check and always be
100%.
willing to like take criticism, because no matter how good you think you are, you're never that good.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where that growth comes in. That's because if you didn't grow from it, you're still going to be stuck and you'll be thinking that you're making a Titanic.
Yeah.
But that's when you see where like you really evolve, you know, as a human being. And I'm more interested in the criticism and how I can make myself better. And it's a never-ending pursuit. You know, it's not something that it's really about the destination. And I know it sounds cliche and like everything
Hey,
else.
this is Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything's a cliche.
Yeah. But it's a, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, you really have to have the support system around you in order for you to be able to be at your best.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you're 12 hours, 14 hours on set, and we are the only industry that probably from us it's required to be 12 hours
Minimum.
yeah, like it's not like, oh, you're 8 hours, so maybe we're gonna go up to 10, but if we go up to 12, oh my God, like thank you so much, like 12 hours. No, like you're required, like your minimum is at 12, and then we go from there. And you know, the thing is, you know, if you don't have the support system around you, and every time you go home and you argue and people are like, oh, it's like, you know, people that love you, they don't support you, then you're not going to have the peace of mind to really go and
It's like demoralizing every day, 100%.
Right? And when you have that support system, it really helps you to go out and be at your best, you know, for those like 12 hours, and to have like understanding people around you. And that's the most important thing that you can have. And not a lot of people, you know, you see it that way, because they only think that it's like, oh yeah, I want to just.
So you said that you came from your home country here
Yes. So there
with
was
like just a backpack of stuff. So like,
yeah, there was a
how did you build up your crew starting from like literally nothing? Well, I take it at that point,
you
English was
know,
probably second language for you if you had English.
yeah, so it's actually it was my first is Macedonian, obviously, but I studied film and TV directing in Bulgaria, so I had to learn Bulgarian. A lot of people think it's similar.
And you were in college
In
before you came over
Bulgaria.
here,
Yeah.
or
I was,
okay.
I was in college, and while I was in Bulgaria, there was a lot of American production going on there. And you really get to see up close and kind of personal of like how the American way of filming is. And I was like, oh my God, this is where I want to be. This is where like ultimately for everybody in our profession, you want to be, because like I was only interested in growth.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm only gonna learn from the best. Like I want to surround myself with people that are better, so I can get better at it.
What was like that difference that you saw at that time from like being on set in your country versus some of the Americans that came over? Like,
Like to me, it looked like Disneyland. Like I go on set and you see, like the balloon lights,
like all the toys
75 in the air, and you see like 18Ks and 9, like all like spread around, like all the borders like closed and stuff. And I was like, oh my God! And you don't get to see that, because like, you in my home country, it once we shoot a movie, it's like a big like happening. I was like, oh my God, like they're shooting a movie, and like it happens like once a year, like once every couple of years, and it's a really big deal. And in Bulgaria, it's like constantly like, yeah, you go to work and there are like all these like 18Ks and stuff, and yeah, they're gonna light them up, and all these like generators and like trucks, and there's like food trucks and this and like trailers. I was like, oh my God, like it literally, like blew my mind. And when you're the first time I went on set was actually Black Dahlia, like
the movie Black Dahlia.
yeah, the Brian De Palma, and like we were there just from like school and stuff, like basically like lower than an intern, just to see how it is. And once I saw that, I knew that there was no coming back. Like once you see it, you cannot unsee
It's like
it.
you dip your pinky in that pond.
Yeah,
and pull you right
it's like
in.
a matrix. You take that filter, it's like that's it. You think this,
Like everything I knew about filmmakers is a lie. This is filmmaking.
Yeah, and I literally went to my mentor in Bulgaria, my producing teacher. I was like, how do I go to Hollywood, but I don't want to be a tourist? So they told me there was like this training program, at the Universal Studio backlot there, and like you can apply, but I don't know if somebody got in or something like this. And I applied, I got in, and I came here in 2008, and that's how my journey in the United States happened. And I literally came, not even like I had no computers, nothing. I came with like a Nokia Music Edition. Not even like 50 minutes talking, period. That's it. Like 15 text messages, like limit, like everything else. And you like clear customs, like everything else. And then I was supposed to get like an apartment on like Cahuenga and like Barham.
How did you find an
corner.
apartment back then during that transition?
Oh man, like I emailed, of like a few places, but LA, and I literally I only knew Sunset Boulevard from like movies or something like that. So that's my and before I came, like here, the only like that I didn't know anything about the neighborhoods or anything. So that's the only place that I found that's gonna take me in. And they sent me an email that they had some plumbing problem and that my moving date's gonna be delayed for a week. So I was like, what do I do?
You're
like,
already here or inbound?
Like literally on my way. Like my friend is here to take me to the airport, and like I'm literally getting this email. I was like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do? And I'm gonna go because I'm gonna miss my flight. And like on my way here, like I literally went into a cab and I told the cab driver, take me to Sunset Boulevard. And he turns around and he's like, dude, like we're on Sunset. I was like, I don't know, in some hotel, And it's my first time in the United States, like ever. And he is like, do you know where, like, do you know how big Sunset Boulevard is? I was like, I have no idea. He was like, do you know like how many hotels there are on such? I was like, I have no idea. And this guy drops me off on like Sunset and La Brea, and it was like Friday the 13th or something like
Yeah.
that, like June 13th, and it's like I'm literally, like Friday night and stuff on like Sunset and La Brea, and there was like Hollywood Studio Inn. I think it's closed now, But that was, so I went in and I was like, like I want to get a room, and like the guy looks at me and is like, you pay in advance. I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And so, and that's how I started. And while I was here, like I literally had no computer, no access to internet, nothing. There was an internet cafe here where like the Ross Dress for Less is like at the corner, and the Burger King, and the
Cyber Cafe days.
yeah. And you go and it's like, oh, I want to have like 1 hour in here. So I literally on La Brea, I look up, and I had no idea that 1 block up is Hollywood Boulevard. Like I had no idea. So I look up and it's like a little bit like a hill. It's like, I'm not going there. So I went like on the other side, and I would always go to like La Brea, to like La Brea and like Santa Monica, And that was like for the first like couple of days, my movements, no cars, no nothing. And then my program started. I made like a lot of friends and stuff and everything else. And I moved into my place. And
Is that program still available today?
I think so.
Do you mind like explaining to me how that program works? Because that's really cool. Like it gives folks outside the U.S. an opportunity to essentially shadow or just start working here, and then
and it's like it's like accelerated. So you go like 8 weeks, and you go on sets and you learn by basically making movies. So you do like short films. So you work on like somebody else's crew, and like
so it's almost like a class.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought it was
like
just like
really,
a job shadowing or something.
No. It's like literally like an 8 week like training and stuff and everything, and they teach you the American way. Like just doing things. And then, like once I was here at first, I didn't like it. I was like, oh my God, like this is like all like spread out. I love the filmmaking process of it, but I was like, I don't know about LA in general, but then it really grows on you, and then, I was a representative for like foreign media in US for a while, and we were filming a lot of documentaries for European TV stations. That was after the training and stuff.
Nick actually recently had experiences with these. We have our new Aurora RGB lights available.
Yes.
You want to briefly touch on that?
Yeah, we were
just like quick short, and we can get back to your story because that's like really interesting stuff.
We were basically filming a TV show in February, right before the coronavirus.
Yes.
We like squeezed it in, and then we used the Aurora and we used the F4. And it was absolutely a fantastic light to see. Like not having that ballast to us, it really makes it like super, like compact, and you can like squeeze it in like tight spaces, and it's not as heavy. And the output is incredible, and to be able to match those like light sources like throughout the room and stuff, it just really expedites the whole thing when you're on set. And like from like few times like we lit from outside with those as well.
Yeah.
So like I'm like absolutely, super satisfied.
You heard here first. Like, somebody with hands-on experience.
Honestly, like, to
definitely enjoyed the Auroras and our HMI. So we 100%. Have.
And another thing I wanted to also say is like, what I love working with you guys, and because you guys are in LA. So if something were to happen, like to me, the 3 things that are super important is obviously affordability, bang for buck quality, and customer support. Customer support is here every time I call you and stuff and everything. Like I talk to you directly if I need anything like service. I didn't need it so far, but if I need it, I know that you guys service it on site. And if I need a replacement for something, I can get it right that day. And I can just like drive, to like.
I mean, I remembered. I think like you text me over the quarantine, like, "Hey, I might have a shoot." I'm like, "Yeah, I got you."
100%, and it's right then and there. And honestly, I challenge everybody, to just go and see and like really bang for buck pricing and quality for the price to find me a better product. It's not. Like I really believe in what your guys doing, because it's really, puts us in position, like to me as a producer and also as a director, to really have my tools in check so I can tell my stories effectively.
Well, next time you got to try out some of our LED Fresnels or some of the smaller lights, because
I wanted
saw
to
when
get
you were
my
shooting some of
hands
the
on
tight
those
spaces.
on the new space lights and RGB. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god, like definitely, like hopefully after the whole thing blows over and stuff and everything else, and
Yeah,
you know,
I'm telling everybody, like, since everyone's just holding on to their money, I take it once things start up, it's going to start up super quick.
absolutely, yeah,
So be ready.
Yeah.
Get your stuff now and be ready, because as soon as you get that call, you don't want to be able to be the guy saying, like, oh, hold on, let me see if I can get the stock. No, they'll just move to the next guy.
and in every chaos there's a lot of opportunity,
Yeah.
and I always, tell everybody, in a situation like this, as where you get your lights, you get your cameras, because the deals are unmatched, you're going to get the best value, for your dollar, and the experience, you just like stock up and wait, So
They're
once
investments.
yeah, exactly. And then because then, when everything goes back to normal, the demand's going to be higher, price going to be higher, and everything else.
And there's going to be less product available.
Exactly,
Because
exactly.
everybody's going to be trying to buy.
Yeah, and that's where like those markups come into play, and where is the whole thing. So I would highly recommend, like honestly, you guys have been like wonderful through this like whole thing, and I could not ask for like better partners for my lighting ever.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, let's reconvene with your story at
Yeah.
Universal.
I don't-
Like, that's such an interesting program.
Yeah, I mean, it was, to me
Is it only Universal that provides this program, or is it like?
yeah, it goes like there are like multiple providers they can use, like the Universal lot and stuff, and get those. Obviously, if somebody is interested in stuff and everything, and can leave information and everything else, they can leave it with you, so they can like contact you and they can like reach out to those
yeah,
programs
definitely. And
stuff.
we'll put the link
Yeah,
in the description.
Exactly. So, but it's definitely a great way, to get your hands on, and it's such a difference of like how films are being done here, opposed to how it's done in my home country and in the smaller countries there, because primarily the biggest difference is that everything that is being done in the smaller countries in Europe is done by government money. There's soft money that you don't need to pay back. So the way that you would approach it is you want to maximize. So you're gonna take your time about everything, because you can,
Yeah.
And here, you need to be more efficient with less time, and tell
What is
better
it like?
stories.
Each minute is worth like $20,000 in like a union set or something.
So for everybody that smokes cigarettes, like, remember how much that cigarette is costing you.
Right.
Those 7 minutes, you're not gonna get it back. But it's one of those things that like it's really, you have to be curious and you have to be hungry for knowledge. When I came here, the only thing that I knew is like I want to make myself better, and then I went to I enrolled in UCLA for producing and business of entertainment.
Did you come here was it like a visa or how?
Yeah. It was a visa,
Like a student visa
for
or
the
work visa?
duration. Yes, the first one was a student, I believe. It's been a long time. F1 or something like this, and then I applied like O1, and then you get like green card and like.
So you just worked your way up from the
Yeah,
visa.
absolutely.
Okay.
You have to go through the O1 and stuff. And
Yeah,
make
like the
sure
process.
Yeah, and then you work yourself up, to like a green card, but you have to start somewhere. So to everybody that like comes, here, the main thing is be hungry for knowledge. That's the only thing. Like that's
You
the
have
only
this
thing.
industry is very competitive. If
Absolutely, and the way that I like to operate is I welcome competition. What I don't like is somebody tapping me on my shoulder and telling me how great I am, and like be surrounded with kind of like in the same environment, with like doing the same things over and over, and just like feed my ego. I don't like to work that way. The way that I want to do things is just always just get better. And I mean, it's a never-ending pursuit. Like the first thing that, like when I sit down with a DP, like with Taylor or with Nick, but the people that I work with, like we did something that is like, oh my God, like, okay, we did it like the way that we wanted it to do. And then the first thing that when we sit down is like, okay, we could have done this, we could have done that. This is how we do it. This is how we do it in the future. This is where we're gonna,
Yeah,
So
like you have your post-shoot meetings to just
100%,
recap.
and you always talk about the things that you can do better. You never sit down and say, did you see? You see that
Like
shot?
we did that good,
That's
huh?
awesome. It's like never. It doesn't happen. And it's sometimes it's a little bit off-putting and strange even to people, like investors and executives, like they come on set, and you see me like this, and you see like Taylor, like, and you think, this is like the worst thing ever. And they see the scene and say, man, this looks really good. Like, why is everybody like this? But, it's like constantly just get better. And, it's you always gonna shift. Like if you love what you do, even in a situation like this, like Corona and stuff and everything else, it's just like put it aside. And the sooner you get to terms with your situation, the better.
Yeah.
Because once that acceptance it's gone, then you can really focus on the things and your growth.
So going from like the program, you said you applied to UCLA like film school and stuff. And is that when
Yes.
Because it seems like you've always in a way like you wanted to pursue directing, but then you had a little bit of producer elements in the background working your way up.
This is where I decided, because the fundamentals of the business, and it's a business.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that I urge everybody to understand, and especially people that come from Europe, to pursue filmmaking here, it's a business, and you have to, it's a constant navigation, of like, it's a constant compromise. You have to speak the language on both sides, because ultimately both sides want to have a good product for different reasons, but it's still, the goal is the same.
A good product.
Yeah.
One side is the investors,
100%.
They want their money, and then the other side, the artist wants to get the craft out, their vision.
100%. And if everything is aligned, and if you really speak the language, like properly, you will see that the both sides are, on the same page, they're on the same side. So I would say,
like don't shy away from the money talks. Like a
Exactly.
lot of folks that I've dealt with in the past, like as soon as you get into talking about like contracts and money, like they start to cringe up and there's that discomfort. But like you need to like
100%.
pass that part, and then it's all fun from there.
Yeah, and another thing is also like you have to be honest and genuine. Like you cannot be full of because people can see right through you. Like you're never gonna sit. I never had a conversation when I sit at the table and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna make you this project and I'm gonna make you a millionaire or something like this, and
It's only gonna cost you this much money.
Like my first conversation always starts as like, listen, you're most likely gonna lose your money. You know what I mean? Like that's it. It's most likely more likely than not that this thing, you know what I mean, that you're about to embark on this journey is not easy and stuff. Can you make a lot of money out of it? Yes, you can, but most likely, in most cases, this is how it goes, But this is how we're going to approach it so we can put you in position, for you to have a good product, and we can make sure we can finish it on time and budget, where we can really put you in position to have eyes on it, and people will be like, hey, listen, this is really good. Let's give him another chance. Let's give him this, and make your money or not lose your money, and then make more money on the next one. And it's like you really have to be genuine, and people will want to help you for different reasons, But you cannot be promising the world to people if you're not sure that you're able to deliver. And we are not sure because, filmmaking, it depends on like as any other aspect of like any industry, of the political climate and how people perceive your content. Your movie can be the best movie ever made. It's just not the right time for it. And people perceive it differently.
Definitely. There's
and
a lot of that going around these days.
Absolutely. And it's not an exact science or anything, but if you surround yourselves with individuals and you respect, people. And I would say another thing is, a lot of the times, people are gonna hire you and they're gonna try to mold you into something that you're not.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really important for you to be genuine and to really show yourself to the other, like the way that you are. So let me give you an example, not to go into philosophy and stuff, but like if you are, you know, making a car for like 2 years, right? And then, Tony, I love your car. I want to buy it. You know, the only thing you need to do right now is turn it into a boat, and you got it sold. And you'll be like, well, you know, like,
I make cars.
it's like, you know, but no, it has a steering wheel. You know, it's like, it's like, it goes fast, so you need to do this, and this, and this. And then if you're an editor, and if you prefer to work in Final Cut, for example, and then I hire you, and it's like, Tony, I know you're like an expert in Final Cut, but you know, like, we're gonna work on Premiere now. Like, no, it's like to everybody that when I'm assembling a crew for like a project or like anything, like, I wanna work with people, and when I hire you to be on a project, I wanna play to your strengths. I want to know what is it that you do best, your process of how you're doing it. So it's my job to put you in a position to be successful and do your job the best that you can do it.
How do you go about like finding crew member for a project?
Well, mostly it's word of mouth. Mostly it's people that you met through other people, or you've been on set and you've seen, for example, oh my God, like the sound guy is amazing. You know, like oh my God, like look at the DP. But mostly it's like word of mouth. Like,
So the goal is to build a good reputation so that people speak of you
absolutely,
most
absolutely.
often, right?
And you know, and to always treat everybody the same. Like when I go on set, to me, from like the cleaning lady to the producer, everybody's the same. I look and I treat everybody the same, and not because, you know what I mean, oh, you never know who's gonna become what tomorrow. No, it's the decent thing to do, and it's the humane thing to do, is to always be humble, and then you get what you give situation. You know, so if you put the positive energy out there, and you're gonna meet like same-minded people and stuff, because you have to remember that everybody else sacrificed a lot, just like you did.
Yeah.
And you don't need to be better about it. You just need to accept the fact that this is what it is, you know, and see what your strengths are and see how you can contribute. Like when I go somewhere, and I learned this like really early on, is never about what my dream is about how I can help you. You know, so it's like, I come to FilmGear, it's like, how do I help you, you know, to do your thing, and alongside, I can get as well, so I can help myself as well. You know, so it's like not something that, you know, a lot of people come in, well, my dream is to become a cinematographer. Well, good for you. But what you can contribute to this production, you know, that it's really going to be essential. And that's why I went into producing, because as a director, sometimes, you know, you really don't have, you know, a say in multitude of like things here. So you can be, oh, that's a close-up camera. All these, so all these things. Do you want me to stop, or you want me to? And all these things that, like, for example, you know, like, I love
Producer, why'd you switch over from producer?
Yeah,
from director to producer.
Yeah, and as a director, for example, you don't have, you know, a say in a lot of things. You know, like, you don't have a say on like who's gonna be around you. But it's
until you're like Spielberg's level, like you
absolutely.
pretty much are.
And you know, unfortunately, you know, that's, you know, for independent filmmakers, it's like you really don't have a sense. Sometimes they're gonna put you in positions, and I've been put in positions where like you can really not do much, you know, based off of the directing alone, because like everybody needs to work in sort of like cohesion in order for the product to be good, and you know, and that's the thing. It's like, as a producer, you have a lot more, you know, responsibility, but also you can have a say on like who you want to bring.
Did you assemble the team, right?
Yeah,
More or less.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're like, I really feel like this editor would be perfect for it. I really feel like this cinematographer would be perfect for it. I really feel like if we should like on this, on that, and you can really set a tone for the whole production. And you can really set a tone of like how the whole thing is going to work. And if you get hired only as a director and the script is good, but then the producers are not as good, and everybody else on the crew, it's out, they just, they don't put you in a position like, let me give you a practical, right? You go into a location, right? Mm-hmm. And as a director, like the producer takes me to a location that only has, it's like white walls, there's no like windows from outside or anything else, and just like, make it work. You're a good director, we pay you good money, make it work. And we'll be like, man, it's like 4 walls, they're white. What do I have a, like maybe like a production design, something I can do? Nope, no money for production design, nothing, you figure it out, They shot it on a natural light, you can do it without lights too, And it frustrates you because regardless of like how good you are as a director, you cannot overcome dysfunction. And period. In everything that you do, there is no way of you overcoming dysfunction, regardless. Or you can be even Spielberg level, talented and everything else. There is no way. And like as a producer, you have enough control where you can put people, in situations there where they can be successful. So you take them into a location and you go with the DP and the electric team and everybody, and you'll be like, okay, is this a really good location? And then you bring in production design, and then the DP is gonna say, well, like these shears, I like, this wallpaper. Then you make sure you have enough money for wallpaper, but it depends on you.
Yeah.
And you can structure it, and then it really shows through. So it's gonna work seamless, but you're gonna put everybody in position, and you're gonna set it up, and you're gonna know what you need to do, like those steps in order for you to do it.
Do you still kind of get to, in a way, backseat direct a little bit as a producer? Or you just take a full step back and then you're like, all right,
Absolutely.
This is why you're here, you handle it, Mr. Director.
100%. So that's the thing is, you get the best people, that you think they are the best people for the job, and then you let them do their thing. If someone asks me for my opinion, I can give the opinion. If I have like something to say about it, I might just pull the director aside and maybe I can make a suggestion. But by all means, he or she should not listen to me, or like I'm not gonna get butthurt to go, oh, they didn't took my suggestion, but I won't do it in front of everybody else. I'm gonna do it on my own time with the director or anything else, or if I see a situation out of experience of how to avoid it or something, if I have some suggestions, I'll definitely do it. I won't stay aside by any means, but then, I always do it privately. I don't do it to show off in front of, I could not care less, about, like showing or how people think of me or like anything else like that. Like to me, and what everybody's gonna get judged by is the end product. What's on screen is what's gonna get that judged by. Like we're not gonna be there and see, it's like, you see, there was supposed to be a truck there, but they brought a van. And what are we gonna do now? It's like that, like no, you have to make it work, and those things. And I always say, like, the biggest thing that I've learned as direction goes, and as a director is, like how well, you're gonna adjust to things as they arise.
Like adapting.
Yes, because on a perfect scenario with 150 takes, you know what I mean? Anybody can do it. You're gonna get from 150 takes one right in a perfect amount of time. But what you do when you're 3 hours behind, at lunch, and what you do in putting 15 shots into 5 and still tell a good story.
And budget's cutting close.
Yeah, and that's where the director really makes his money, in my opinion.
So, as a producer, how do you usually, like, what steps do you go through to raise money or pull together investments for a project that, like, falls on your lap?
Well, it depends. First, I like read the script and I really break it down, and I really kind of determine what the philosophy of the production is going to be. Like if you're doing a sci-fi movie, obviously majority of the money, if you have to compromise, you're not going to compromise on special effects. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're going to
no.
compromise or like it's something else. Or if you're doing like a martial arts movie, like you're not going to, sacrifice from the budget for like stunts or something
Yeah,
like
like
this.
good fight choreographers need to
100%.
be top notch.
And then, once you determine what's your philosophy is going to be, or like how I want to approach it, is I want to get like a general idea of like how much these things that can cost, and like kind of figure those things, like everything else, before I sit down with like potential investments and like everything else. Obviously, you're going to break it down and stuff, but deep down, like, like, okay, like knowing what my strengths are and knowing what my weaknesses are, the most important thing you need to do is like knowing what you don't know. So you know how to get people that can do it better than you do, because you don't want to be like somebody that claims that it's an expert on everything. So you come and say, it's going to be like my way, So, just getting the right people and trusting him in crucial situations, it's what's going to make it run smoother. And whatever is going to, you think that it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong.
Of course.
And then some.
So plan for the worst, but hope for the best.
Absolutely, yeah. And then from there, once you sit with potential investors and stuff and everything else, the first thing that what comes out of my mouth and stuff and everything else is that most likely, like I don't promise them the world. Like I really genuinely go and okay. Man.
Okay.
And the only thing that like I want to approach it, I want to approach it realistically. And there are people that they just want to invest money just so they can be a part of it. For them it's like experience. And I don't like to have investors that is their last money. I never take someone's savings or someone's college fund and go make my movie. I just don't do it. I just don't do it at all.
Yeah, that sounds
like I don't want to
really messed up if somebody would do that.
Oh, trust me, and another thing is, nobody comes and says, like, even when people like pitch projects and stuff and everything else, nobody comes and says like, hey, I have this like, terrible project. Do you want to, do it? Like everybody comes from a standpoint, it's like, oh, I have this like awesome project. Will you want to come do this with me? And, and then kind of go from there, right? But then the execution is what's going to set you up apart. And early on in those stages, even with investors and stuff, and when I see that if the investors is not in it for the right reasons, I back out. I'm not.
What are some of the not right reasons you feel like when you're talking? And what do you usually look for when you're talking with an investor?
I look for the person that they are. Like, and their reasonable expectations. Like if somebody comes in and is like, oh, I want to, make this movie because I want my girlfriend to be in it, and not to judge or anything else or,
everyone's got their thing, right?
It's up, like everybody can spend their money as they see fit, and, they can do, or, usually like, oh, like I want to make this, movie because I want to become a millionaire as you come in, or like I want to be because like I want to feel in charge, and you're usually going to get the vibe like right after, like, you're going to see if somebody's like, oh, I know everything, how to do this or that, or, just to generally, there are people that, they're going to come in and be like, hey, listen, like this story is like really important to me, and, I really want to tell it because of this, and this, and I really don't know of like how am I gonna do this, and I really don't know of like if I have enough money or what is it. So I need like somebody to help me on along with it. Like the approach is different, it's not like, oh, like here it is, like I just want to do this, and and it's okay even if somebody wants, like, let's say if somebody wants to invest like money for their family member and they're like super talented, you'll be like, yeah, I'm in for it. But if it's only for the fame and the fortune, and if somebody wants to do it because they want to put somebody on TV, or the script is not substantial, or nobody made a good movie out of a bad script. It's usually the other way around,
Yeah.
So it's really important for material to be there, the expectations to be reasonable. You know, the people, because most of the time the turnaround process is going to be a year or two. So you want to be surrounded with people that you genuinely like to work with.
Yeah, that'd be terrible to spend 2 years with people that annoy you.
And for last, I would say it's like, don't be afraid to fail. You know, the reason why I have these sort of like beliefs in the way that I do things like right now is because I made every goddamn mistake possible there is to make in filmmaking. You know, and I've never pointed fingers or anything. I, you know, stood up and I took it. You know, like this is it. Like this is where I failed, and you try it again, and this is, and you learn from it. You know, so don't be afraid from failure.
Yeah.
You know, like the reason why I don't want to work with those kind because I've worked in the past, and this it didn't turn out that well.
It definitely failed.
So,
right?
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So everything that you've done, you know, you failed, and it's okay. You know, like. Because the way that we were brought up and stuff and everything else, like, oh, it's a failure. And then the way that we approach it, it's okay to fail. And it's really okay.
Every failure is another step closer to the success.
Exactly.
All right.
Awesome.
I guess
I mean,
we got to do a part 2 to this.
Part two.
Sometime later. But
absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming out, Nick. We did cover a lot of, I found to be very interesting topics. Absolutely. So I look forward to maybe diving a little deeper on some of your processes of being a director and
always
like
a pleasure.
Fun hunting. So
yeah, and if somebody has any you know, requests about any information they want or they want to reach out and stuff and they need information, filmmaking is a democracy, you know, so we're all allowed to the same information. So feel free to reach out. I can share whatever.
Yeah.
You
If
know,
you want to plug some of your stuff, the company and everything, real quick.
I mean, our company name is Lux One. We do like film equipment rentals and those kind of things. And my Instagram is my first _ last name. Probably is going to be in the comment below, so I don't want to spell it for everybody. You know? So that's probably usually where you can really find me and reach out with any like questions that you might have. But obviously, guys.
And remember, y'all, he does have a project coming up early next year, so hit him up if you want to get involved. Anyways, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Look forward to our next discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.